Yo, yo, yo. The past 2 weeks have been quite possibly the most intense roller coaster of my life. Welcome to episode 5 of Summit S33ker. You might have noticed a couple of things. Hair is out of absolute control. Glasses means I'm slowly getting back. I'm feeling smart again. My brain's starting to turn back on. And we took last week off because there were some things going on that honestly made me hate life for the first time ever. And I was extremely miserable. And I did not know how to deal with it because I couldn't deal with it. I physically shut down, mentally shut down. But the roller coaster continues. But like I mentioned, we're back. Everything is moving along smoothly. We got some great news, which we'll get into, and a lot of good energy just going around right now in terms of the recovery process and the road to getting back to normal on whatever that looks like. So hopping into it right away. So I actually had a follow-up appointment with my potential orthopedic surgeon for my knee surgery. So that was supposed to be on a Wednesday. I had been having some issues with breathing on the Tuesday beforehand. I woke up Wednesday and literally could not breathe. I tried to stand up. There was a huge, sharp pain in my chest every time I took an inhale or an exhale. I just could not get myself to honestly get one breath out or in. So just taking little short, shallow breaths, which is pretty much all I could do. And every single time I either hit the top or the bottom of that breath, it felt like somebody was just stabbing me with a pen, stabbing me. So I knew something was up. So instead of going to my appointment, I actually ended up going to the emergency room. So when I go to the emergency room, they basically tell me that I had contracted pneumonia the week before. Now, for anybody that doesn't know how pneumonia works, you basically get it 2 to 3 weeks before you start to show symptoms, and then the symptoms just hit you out of nowhere. So they hit me pretty bad, and they gave me some antibiotics, and everything was pretty much okay after a couple of days. But then this pain had returned, and I really didn't understand what it was. So I went back to the emergency room because I couldn't stand up, and it was pretty much a situation where I had to get a telehealth visit because I couldn't leave the couch. I couldn't stand up, and I had to find out how I was going to be able to get a breath in and be able to just do anything with my life. So I called in on Kaiser's telehealth line, got a video appointment with the doctor pretty much right away. And he told me that you can basically just take ibuprofen. And I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? He's like, well, I can't tell you. We need to get you in, do chest scans, all of that stuff. So I end up going to the emergency room, like I mentioned before, and they take another chest scan. And this one wasn't contrast. The contrast scan is where they found out that I had the pneumonia. This one, they just took a chest scan, a chest x-ray. Now, this was single-handedly the worst I've ever felt in my life. And the old medical term is pleurisy, which is basically inflammation of the lungs and of the lung lining, So inflammation of the lung lining, pleurisy or pleuritic chest pain is typically a complication from pneumonia. So the pneumonia was on my left lung. The pleurisy was actually on my right lung. So you can imagine I'm going through it. But pleurisy is something that I would not wish on my worst enemy because, as I mentioned before, every single breath, not even a full one, every single half breath, it just hurts. You have back pain because it's in your lungs. And when you break it down medically, your lungs are just literally crying out for help because they just can't get over this inflammation. So the only way to do it is to actually take ibuprofen and Tylenol for the pain. So ibuprofen, you can take a short course and hopefully the inflammation goes down. And the Tylenol is for the pain because honestly, it is not something that you want to be feeling. So I was up to 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol every 8 hours. And then I was up to 600 milligrams of ibuprofen every 8 hours, and I would kind of alternate. So they would be offset. So 1 hour I would take one, the next hour I would take the next, and then 8 hours later for each one, and you kind of go on that way. Now, the chest pain and the back pain lasted for about 3 days, and that was after around the clock Tylenol, ibuprofens, any NSAID I could get my hand on was pretty much saving my life at this point. And when I tell you miserable, I don't even know what's beyond that, but that's where I was. And I remember telling my mom when I was getting out of the car, coming back into the apartment, this is the first time I'd ever honestly just hated life because I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, I couldn't gather any breath to do anything. So if you find yourself getting pneumonia, which I hope none of you do, that's pretty much the case for most of this journey. Hopefully none of this happens to anybody, but if you're going through something or find yourself in a similar situation, it will be okay. It may suck for the time being, and you may be experiencing some of the worst pain of your life, but if there's a way that you can get your hands on the proper medication or the proper just over-the-counter medication, it doesn't have to be anything prescribed, hopefully not, then please do it. I know it may seem like a lot of pills at once, but it is definitely within the realm of medical acceptance, we'll call it. Because once the doctor told me I could take that much milligrams of that much medicine, I said I need it all. So I took all the medicine, and again, after a few days, it went away. I'm about 10 days out from the initial onset, and I still have probably about 5% of pain when I do take a deep breath, but it really has to be a deep inhale. So fortunately, that has subsided. I was able to get back into the swing of things, getting up, getting moving around, and that is the main thing, whether you are healthy, whether you are sick. If you are sick, try to move as much as you can. If you are healthy, you have no excuses because you do not want to be in a situation like this where the simplest of things can take you out. Movement is medicine. My friend Twan always says that. I've adopted that as gospel when it comes to actually making things happen and getting up, moving your body, getting your blood flowing, getting water in your system. All those things are things you do not need to overlook. I don't care how young you are, how active you are. I was you. And I thought the same thing. Now, granted, this injury took my body for a complete loop. And I had found out just from various doctors over the past 2 months that the only reason that A, I'm still here, B, I still have my leg, and C, my body was able to withstand this is because I was extremely active before. So if you're not extremely active, do as much as you can, eat as healthy as you can, because you may not realize it now, but your body is building up to fight something potentially in your future that you will not make it past if it's not prepared. So making sure immune system is good, making sure your stress levels are great, cortisol levels, keep them as low as possible because your body stressing out is going to add more weight, is going to add more just general anxiety for you, and your body's immune response to stress, it can take you out. It can make a simple cold amplified. It can make a simple flu. It can make COVID exponentially worse. So whether you're taking shots or not, do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, make sure you're drinking lots of water, eating healthy, getting your greens, all that stuff, making sure your body's flushing out that toxin. And most importantly, what I've learned over the last 2 months in this entire ordeal, get your sleep. I recently bought an Oura Ring, and this thing is an absolute game changer. And this is not a product placement. They're not paying me or anything, but I realized the importance of sleep in my recovery because, again, the body's going through a lot, and that's something that you need to help complement because it can only do so much based on what you're giving it. So drinking lots of water and getting lots of sleep. I've been very adamant about getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, preferably uninterrupted. Obviously, sometimes you have to get up and use the bathroom, but try to get back right before that kind of fog wakes out and you are just up on your phone, doom scrolling at 3 a.m. If you need extra help, I've started taking 10 milligrams of melatonin. That helps me tremendously. So when I do wake up in the middle of the night and I have to use the bathroom, as soon as I come back, I'm able to go right back to sleep because my brain is not really just wired yet. So melatonin, huge recommendation for me and something that's been helping me sleep through the night. And the data that I've been getting from my Aura Ring is telling me you need to be aware of this. You slept great. Make sure you drink a lot of water. Take a break today. You didn't sleep that great. Make sure you take a nap. Make sure you do this, this, and this. Take breaks every 5 minutes. I absolutely love this thing, and I've only had it for about a week, and it's something that I'll definitely be keeping on my finger because I recognize the importance of sleep in the recovery process and just the productivity and efficiency process for me now in the day. Now, since I've been getting more rest, I'm up, ready to go. I'm back to having coffee. I'm back to working on business things. I'm able to have more conversations that are in line with who I was before this happened. And that is pretty much the one thing that has kept me going, is the fact that my brain stopped flickering and now it's back on. So I'm back to using all the big words for people that are interacting with me on a daily basis. I'm back to being sharp. I'm more witty. My parents are used to me talking shit per usual now since I'm back. And I think that it's something that they enjoy, because the last thing you want to see as a parent is your child being in a position of hurt where you can't do anything. And that's something where, especially my mom, knowing how much she cares, my dad as well, and he's, I can talk to him on the phone, but there's nothing that he can do to help me. Or I can talk to my mom and she's physically here, and there's nothing she can do to help me. So do yourself a favor. Don't be selfish. Again, take care of your body. Get your rest. It's definitely the season for flus, all types of stuff. Pneumonia has been going around. I've had friends getting pneumonia that are also healthy. So make sure you are doing what you need to do to protect yourself. But back to the progress on the journey. Once I was able to get 60 to 70% of my lungs back, I had booked another appointment with the orthopedic surgeon, but they said it was going to be on December 2nd. Now, I don't know if any of y'all really know me like that, but your boy can be pretty impatient. So I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I can't wait another 3 weeks. I still have this open wound on my leg. I just need to get a second opinion within Kaiser and just talk to somebody and see what's good. Now, I make a call to the doctor and I'm like, hey, is there any way that I can get in to see another orthopedic surgeon or whoever? And they're like, oh, actually, we just had a cancellation for tomorrow. So, man, prayers answered. Definitely the next day, go right over to Kaiser and I meet with my new orthopedic surgeon. And there's some interesting conversations going on. So keep in mind, the first 6 weeks of this injury post-surgery, I had been in an external fixator in my knee. Now, after that, I've been put in a knee immobilizer. So for 2 weeks up until this appointment. So pretty much 2 months, my leg is just locked out and I haven't pretty much moved it. I haven't been able to move it. And keep in mind, the MRI showed extreme structural damage. So for anybody out there who's not familiar with the human body, if you don't move something for a while, it's going to get stuck. And especially when you have ligament tears, tendon tears, scar tissue is going to build up. I will tell you right now, scar tissue is my absolute worst enemy of this chapter, because once we had these conversations and then he took off my knee immobilizer, he told me to bend my knee. I cannot. My knee is as stiff as a board right now. And that is something that is not good for trying to have a reconstructive knee surgery. So the damage that's done from medical terms is posterolateral corner, which is the back kind of dark side of the knee is what they called it. But basically all of those tendons and ligaments that I tore, that's what that section is called, with the exception of the ACL, because the ACL is more central. But basically they're going to have to go in and they're going to have to fix the tendons, fix the ligaments, reconstruct everything from a cadaver. I won't be able to do the autografts because there's too much other stuff going on in my leg at the moment. So allografts, autografts, two cool things to know about the body. But I'm going to have to do those. However, I'm not going to be able to do them with a stiff knee because it does not have a good prognosis for long term to go into a surgery with a stiff knee, and then you're also going to come out with a stiff knee. So with that being said, we got 2 new action plans, which I could not be happier to hear. The first one, plastic surgery. Now, for those of you who know me, you know I make jokes about the black leg. We've all made jokes about the black leg. Now, the black leg is where I have my fasciotomy wounds. And they have pretty much closed a good amount, but they're still open. Now, I can't have my orthopedic surgery until I have the plastic surgery because those need to be covered. So with that being said, I have a meeting with the plastic surgery team to discuss skin grafts. So I'm not sure what that looks like. I have those appointments this week, so I'll have more information on that next week's episode. But we basically need to do skin grafts to cover the fasciotomy wounds because we can't continue to wait longer and longer for them to close because my wounds need to be finished, or they need to be closed, before we can start getting everything seriously ready for the knee reconstruction. Now, second good news was starting physical therapy. Now, this was the happiest I think I've been in this entire process because physical therapy for me signified one thing: my return to activity. Now, is it going to be what I was doing before, running miles in weeks and playing basketball and doing all that stuff? Absolutely not. Nor am I expecting it to be. But physical therapy is so important to me because it allows me to take the reins back into my own hands as opposed to waiting for somebody else to give me a decision from the medical team. Now, I started PT, and the first thing we did was take measurements on the range of motion on my knee. And when I tell you it's non-existent, it is pretty much that. So once I pretty much got the go-ahead to start with those 2, we put me in a hinge brace. Now, the hinge brace is great because obviously it allows for some range of motion that I do not have yet. But as we continue to work with my knee in physical therapy, this will increase. So hopefully over the next few weeks, I have a follow-up appointment in the next month with orthopedics in which hopefully I can have my plastic surgery done and then we can restore a good amount of range of motion in my knee because that's what's going to be necessary for me to have the surgery and then just have a greater long-term prognosis for my recovery and getting back to the style of life that I'm used to living, especially on a activity front. So that is definitely what I'm looking forward to. And it's intense therapy too. I have an intense home program. My therapist is great. She's working with me on a lot of things. And then I go in and visit the facility for outpatient a couple times a week. So really just getting after it in-house for, 2 days a week, and then at home 3 times a day, rigorous exercises and extremely painful ones because we're breaking up that scar tissue. So while it may not be as painful as pleuritic chest pain or the initial injury, it hurts trying to break up your stiff knee and the tendons and everything like that. So another reason to make sure you're getting up, you're standing up as much as you can, you're walking around, you're trying to meet step goals if you have them. If you don't have them, set them, doing your stretches, doing your yoga. I have become a huge advocate, even more so, of general wellness because what you don't realize is your body will shut down quick if you are not moving. And this is an example of that. Never in a million years would I have thought that my knee would not be able to move if I didn't keep it moving around or if it was straightened out for 2 months. Like, yeah, in theory, I get it. But when you're actually going through it, this is nothing to play with. So the takeaway from this week's episode is we are on the up and up. Finally, as y'all can tell, I'm a lot happier. I went down for a little dip before with the pleuritic chest pain, but we are back in the driver's seat. And I couldn't be more excited to just have therapy because it is making my life a lot easier. It's making everybody around me's life easier because I'm not irritable. I'm not miserable. So looking forward to more of these episodes where you're going to get a lot more liveliness out of me. And I'm actually going to be splitting off and doing some other content just around general health and wellness on my Instagram. So if you want to come find me there at Chris Eversley, definitely come check it out. And I have next up on the docket, more PT and a plastic surgery consultation coming up. So in the next couple of weeks, we're really going to be moving. So definitely come back for more because we're really about to get into warp speed with the recovery. So everybody have a great week. Thank you again for coming back for episode 5. Hopefully, I have some great news for y'all in episode 6. Be sure to check out the socials, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.